The sun was warm, the sky clear, and the guests arrived with gifts, smiles, and high expectations. Emily Sanders and Mark Dalton were finally getting married after 3 years of dating. Everyone in their small Georgia town believed they were the perfect match. Emily looked radiant in her white gown, moving from room to room while bridesmaids helped her with makeup and flowers. Mark, usually calm, seemed unusually quiet, but everyone assumed it was just nerves. No one could have imagined that by sundown, this wedding would turn into the most horrifying day in the town's history. Mark stood before the mirror in the groom's suite. He straightened his tie, looked into his own reflection, and sighed deeply. The best man, Jason, tried joking with him, but Mark hardly reacted. What no one knew was that Mark had made a discovery 2 nights before the wedding, a discovery that shattered his trust and ignited something dark inside him. He was carrying a secret he had not shared with anyone, and the weight of it grew heavier with every passing minute. In the bridal room, Emily's hands trembled. Her smile looked bright, but her eyes carried a shadow. Her maid of honor, Chloe, asked her repeatedly if she was okay. Emily forced a laugh, saying it was just wedding stress. But deep down, Emily feared the truth would surface. She had done everything she could to bury it. Every message deleted, every trace covered. She prayed Mark would never find out, but he already had. Outside, guests filled the decorated garden. Children ran around the fountain. Photographers snapped early pictures. Families greeted one another warmly. Everything looked like a dream. Soft music, flowers, and warm sunshine. But a storm was secretly forming inside the groom. Everyone rose when Emily appeared. She walked down the aisle glowing, unaware that Mark's smile was tight and forced. Whispers filled the crowd about how beautiful the couple looked. Mark took her hand gently, but Emily could feel the tension like electricity. Still, she kept smiling for the sake of the moment. The pastor asked them to exchange vows. Emily went first, speaking with emotion, promising love, honesty, and devotion. Mark's eyes stayed locked on hers, but his expression was unreadable. When it was Mark's turn, he hesitated. Guests leaned in, expecting something romantic. Instead, Mark took a slow breath and said, "Before I promise anything, I need to tell everyone here the truth." The crowd froze. Emily's face drained of color. Mark reached into his suit jacket and pulled out printed phone screenshots. Emily's heart plummeted. Mark lifted the papers and read a message aloud. A message Emily had sent to another man. "I wish I had met you before, Mark. I think I'm falling for you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then Mark said the man's name. It was someone everyone knew. It was his own cousin, Alex. Emily broke down, begging Mark softly, "Please, not like this." But Mark had more. Guests were horrified. Some covered their mouths, others whispered in disbelief. Emily's parents rushed forward to calm the scene. Mark's mother sobbed loudly. Alex, the secret lover, stood pale at the back of the ceremony, unable to move or speak. Everything Emily feared was happening, publicly, brutally, and with no chance to escape. Emily reached for Mark's arm, tears streaming, but he pulled away violently. "Don't touch me," he said sharply. Emily fell to her knees in front of everyone, pleading, "It was a mistake. It was before we got engaged. Mark, please listen." But Mark's anger had reached a level no one recognized. The pastor tried to regain control, but the situation was already beyond saving. Guests rushed to escort children away from the chaos. Cameras captured every second. Mark threw the papers into the air like confetti, shouting, "You wanted the truth? There it is." Emily sobbed uncontrollably as her dream day turned into her worst nightmare. This was only the beginning. Emily Carter didn't wait to see what David would do next. The moment he threw her bouquet down and shouted that she was a liar, she bolted, lifting the bottom of her wedding dress, running past shocked family members and confused bridesmaids. Her heels wobbled, her veil tore off in the wind, and her makeup streaked down her cheeks. Behind her, she could still hear David shouting, "You ruined me, Emily." Emily didn't know where she was going. She only knew she needed to get away before David caught up. The truth about her secret lover, Michael Turner, was out. And now she feared what David was capable of. Back inside the venue, people tried to calm David. but he wasn't hearing any of them. He paced, breathing heavy, face red, tears forming, but never falling. His mother reached for him, but he shoved past her. The betrayal hit him like a physical blow. He kept replaying the messages he'd found on Emily's phone, the late-night calls, the excuses she made. The humiliation of being cheated on was one thing, but finding out on the day of his wedding? That broke something inside him. David didn't want apologies. He wanted revenge. The guests whispered in small groups, unsure whether to stay or leave. Some were recording, some were crying, others were angry that their perfect wedding weekend had turned into chaos. Angela Moore, Emily's best friend, grabbed people's phones shouting, "Stop recording! She's having a breakdown." But it was too late. Clips of Emily running out of the venue were already circulating online, strangers commenting on something they didn't even understand. The venue manager threatened to shut the whole event down. Bridesmaids were torn between comforting David or looking for Emily. Groomsmen didn't know what to do. One of them muttered, "Man, I think David's gonna snap." Angela overheard, and it terrified her. She knew David had a temper. She knew Emily was scared of that temper. If David found Emily first, no one knew how far he'd go. Emily ducked behind a line of trees behind the venue, pulled off her heels, and dialed Michael Turner's number with shaking hands. He answered immediately. "Emily, what's going on? I saw the videos." "David knows. He knows everything. I can't think straight." Michael cursed under his breath. "Stay where you are. I'm coming." Emily didn't know whether this was the right choice or the worst mistake of her life, but Michael had always made her feel safe, and right now, safe was all she could think about. Someone pointed David toward the bridal suite. "She ran out the back doors, toward the woods." David stormed outside, ignoring everyone telling him to breathe, to think, to calm down. None of those words mattered. The sun was setting. The air was heavy. David's mind was filled with images of Emily laughing with Michael behind his back. He followed the crushed leaves, the dropped bouquet flowers, the heel marks in the dirt. She couldn't have gone far, and he intended to find her. Angela grabbed Emily's phone charger, car keys, and purse from the bridal suite. Panic turned her whole body cold. "I have to find her," she whispered to herself. Emily had been her best friend since middle school. She knew Emily wasn't perfect. She made mistakes, big ones, but no mistake deserved violence. Angela headed toward the back of the venue, calling Emily over and over, straight to voicemail. That's when she noticed David's footprints in the mud. "Please, God, don't let him find her first." Michael Turner's black sedan screeched into the gravel lot near the back entrance of the venue. He jumped out and ran toward the woods, calling out Emily's name. He knew the risk. He knew David was a man who could explode when pushed, but he also knew he couldn't just leave Emily alone. When he finally saw her, curled near a tree, hair messy, wedding dress torn, he rushed to her. "Emily, we need to go, now." But Emily hesitated. Leaving with Michael meant no coming back, no fixing the marriage, no making peace. Still, the fear of David outweighed everything. "Okay," she whispered. David emerged from the tree line just in time to see Michael guiding Emily to the car. The world went silent. David's chest tightened so hard it physically hurt. His entire wedding day and his entire future burned in front of him. "Emily!" She froze. Michael stepped in front of her protectively. The last person David wanted to see, the man who stole his bride, the man Emily chose over him. It was gasoline thrown on a growing fire. As David charged toward them, Emily ripped off her veil and bolted deeper into the woods instead of toward the car. "Emily, wait!" Michael yelled. David chased her, shoving Michael aside. Branches snapped, leaves scattered. Emily ran blindly, heart racing, unable to breathe. Then, silence. Angela arrived at the tree line just in time to hear the echoes of yelling suddenly stop. The woods were still, too still. Emily Carter was gone, and by the time police were called, the missing bride case had officially begun. The police did not waste time. By the next morning, officers spread across the wooded area behind the wedding venue, stepping carefully through the damp grass, their radios crackling softly. Guests were still shaken, some lingering outside the venue, hoping Emily would reappear and explain everything. Detective Sean Davis arrived first, a calm, experienced investigator with a sharp eye for inconsistencies. He spoke to staff, guests, and the remaining family members. Everyone had the same expression, fear mixed with disbelief. Emily, who only hours earlier had been glowing in white lace, had vanished into the night, last seen running, barefoot, sobbing, chased by her furious groom. But no one could say where she went, or if she was still alive. While officers searched, David returned home. His neighbors watched from behind blinds as he stepped out of his car calmly, almost too calmly. He walked inside, closed the door, and turned off all the lights. No panic, no frantic calls, no attempt to find his missing bride. When detectives later questioned him, David claimed he had no idea where she went and didn't care anymore. Detective Davis took notes, watching the groom's eyes, noticing the small injuries on his knuckles, and the fading smear on his shirt that looked a lot like blood. But David insisted, "I didn't touch her. She ran away from me." The detective didn't believe him. That afternoon, Emily's phone finally pinged. It showed up near an old camp trail 3 miles from the wedding venue. A team of officers moved quickly, combing the woods with dogs and thermal drones. Angela, Emily's best friend, broke down when officers informed her. "She wouldn't go there alone," she whispered. "Someone took her, or someone chased her there." Her voice trembled with guilt. She knew Emily's secret. She knew she should have kept her away from the wedding. She knew David's temper too well, but now it was too late for regrets. News spread fast. Within 24 hours, the wedding disaster became headline news. Bride vanishes after groom exposes affair during ceremony. Groom under investigation as search for missing woman continues. Camera crews were everywhere. Neighbors, friends, co-workers. They started forming opinions, blaming someone. Some blamed Emily. Some blamed David. Most blamed the affair. But no one knew the truth yet, and rumors began to twist the story into something even darker. Angela couldn't leave her house without reporters shouting her name. Some people blamed her for keeping Emily's secret. Others accused her of hiding something. She sat inside her apartment, tears rolling down her face, replaying the moment Emily begged her, "Don't tell David, please, not today." Angela wished she had ignored her. Detective Davis interviewed her again, this time focusing on one detail. "Did Emily tell you she was afraid of David?" Angela nodded slowly. "She told me she didn't recognize him anymore. She said he was controlling, getting angry over little things." That changed everything for the detective. Late that evening, one of the search dogs picked up a faint trace, a piece of lace caught on a thorn bush. Officers followed the trail deeper into the woods. Detective Davis felt his stomach twist. A bride's dress shouldn't be anywhere near this remote area. The search became more urgent. Flashlights scanned every inch of ground. Boots crunched through leaves. Sniffer dogs barked and pulled on their leashes. And then one officer shouted, "Detective, over here!" The clearing was quiet, too quiet. Emily lay beside a shallow creek, half covered by leaves, her wedding dress muddy and torn. Her bouquet was missing, her veil gone. Her face was bruised, her arms showing signs of a struggle. The world fell silent around her. Detective Davis stepped forward, his voice lowering. "Time of death looks like late last night." Angela collapsed when she was told. Emily's mother screamed so loudly that officers had to steady her to keep her from falling to the ground. The groom, David, simply said, "Oh." No tears, no shock, just that one cold word. Once Emily's body was recovered, the pressure on David increased. Detectives asked him to come in for questioning. He didn't hesitate, but his behavior was strange. He smiled sometimes. He shrugged often. He claimed he had moved on from the embarrassment. Detective Davis asked him directly, "Did you hit your wife last night?" David leaned back casually. "She wasn't my wife anymore." That sentence chilled everyone in the room. During the initial body exam, the medical examiner found something important. A small piece of skin under Emily's fingernail. She had fought back. A DNA test was ordered immediately. Detective Davis already knew what it would reveal. And he was right. The next morning, the results came in. Match. David Miller. Detectives moved fast. They arrived at David's home with a warrant. He was sitting on his couch eating cereal watching the news report about Emily's death. He didn't even react when officers stepped inside. Detective Davis read the charges. David Miller, you are under arrest for the murder of your wife, Emily Carter. David finally looked up. His expression was blank. I told her the truth, he muttered. She ruined my life first. He didn't resist arrest, but the town erupted. People filled social media with anger, heartbreak, disbelief. The wedding that was supposed to start a new life had ended with a murder that would haunt everyone forever. The sun rose quietly over Lakewood Ridge, but the silence had a strange weight to it. No one had seen Emily since the wedding disaster. Her car was still parked outside the venue. Her phone was off. Her bridal bouquet lay abandoned near the church door. The community whispered, but nobody expected the truth waiting to be uncovered. Angela, Emily's best friend, tried calling all morning. Nothing. By noon, she drove to Emily's apartment and found no sign of her. Fear tightening in her chest, Angela finally made the call to the police. Emily Carter, age 29, missing. Detective Sean Davis arrived within the hour, immediately sensing that something was deeply wrong. When questioned, David Miller acted oddly calm. Too calm. He claimed Emily ran off in shame and insisted the police were wasting their time. But his hands trembled, his eyes darted around the room, and the scratches on his arm told a different story. Detective Davis noted every detail. Police pulled surveillance footage from the wedding venue. The video showed Emily storming outside after her secret affair was revealed. David followed her moments later. They never returned. The last clear image showed David gripping Emily's arm as she cried. A search team combed the wooded area behind the venue. Angela insisted Emily wouldn't go far. She hated the woods. Hours passed with no sign. But just before sunset, a cadaver K9 alerted near a dense patch of brush. The officers felt the shift in the air. Everyone stopped breathing. Buried beneath a pile of broken branches was Emily's body. Still in her torn wedding dress, her veil tangled near her face, bruises circling her neck. The scene was brutal. Personal. Angela collapsed into sobs. Detective Davis set his jaw, already knowing who did this. News spread like wildfire. A bride murdered on her wedding day. It shook the entire town. Neighbors lit candles. Strangers dropped off flowers. Church bells rang in Emily's honor. Meanwhile, David avoided the public, refusing to attend vigils or speak to the press. The silence made him look even guiltier. The medical examiner confirmed strangulation. Defensive wounds covered Emily's arms. She fought. He overpowered her. It wasn't an accident. It was rage. And inside her nails, skin that matched David Miller. Davis reviewed everything. The motive, jealousy and humiliation. The timeline, minutes between the argument and disappearance. The injuries, consistent with a violent struggle. David's behavior, classic post-crime anxiety. The case was becoming crystal clear, but he needed one more piece. Gloria Brown, a 64-year-old neighbor of the wedding venue, came forward. She heard shouting, a woman begging for help. Then silence. Her statement placed David with Emily at the exact moment she died. Davis finally had enough to make his move. Police arrived at David's home at dawn. He opened the door in shock or guilt, but didn't resist. As cuffs clicked around his wrists, he muttered only 4 words. She made me snap. Those words sealed his fate. David insisted he didn't mean to kill her. He blamed Emily for embarrassing him publicly. Detective Davis leaned in and said quietly, humiliation isn't justification, it's motive. David's silence afterward said more than any confession. David Miller was officially charged with first-degree murder, tampering with a crime scene. Providing false statements, bail was denied. A trial was scheduled. The community watched closely. Some people struggled to accept that David, a quiet, hard-working man, committed murder. Others believed he always had a controlling side Emily hid to protect him, but no one could ignore the evidence. Friendships split. Families argued. The town was divided. Emily's mother delivered a heartbreaking public statement. She deserved love, not violence. We trusted him, and he destroyed our world. Her words went viral. Public opinion shifted sharply against David. The courtroom was packed. Reporters swarmed outside. The prosecution painted a picture of a man consumed by jealousy, incapable of handling rejection. The defense argued crime of passion, claiming David never planned to kill Emily. But the torn dress, the bruises, the time between the argument and her death, it all told a different story. Angela testified about Emily's fear of David. Gloria Brown recounted hearing Emily scream. Detective Davis presented the autopsy, security footage, and DNA evidence. The jury watched, wide-eyed. The truth hit hard. Against his lawyer's advice, David testified. He broke down crying, saying Emily ruined his life and drove him to it. But instead of sympathy, the jury saw something else. A man who believed her life was his to control. It backfired badly. The prosecution ended with, Emily Carter deserved a future. David Miller decided she wouldn't have one. The courtroom fell silent. Everyone knew the verdict was coming. The prosecution ended with, Emily Carter deserved a future. David Miller decided she wouldn't have one. The courtroom fell silent. Everyone knew the verdict was coming. After 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Guilty, on all counts. Emily's mother wept softly. David showed no emotion, only resignation. The judge delivered the sentence. Life in prison without parole. He called the crime cruel, deliberate, and fueled by poisonous pride. The courtroom exhaled. Justice was served. Emily's family created a foundation in her name to support victims of domestic violence. Angela speaks at events each year, sharing Emily's story to save others. Detective Davis maintains a photo of Emily in his office, a reminder of why he fights for the truth. As for David, he sits in prison, replaying the moment he destroyed everything over wounded pride. The case lives on as one of Lakewood Ridge's darkest tragedies, and Emily Carter is remembered not for the way she died, but for the life she should have lived. Remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on the following story.